I said here, I labeled it Q&A and love your Mondays, basically. And I mean it, guys. You know, for 20 years, I worked at the post office. 20 years, man. And, you know, it's a story that I've shared the story before, but I think it's super important that I share it again, because maybe a lot of you guys haven't heard it. But I worked at the post office for 20 years, and I wasn't happy there. I really wasn't, and I really disliked my Mondays. I remember Sunday nights, it was like, oh man, here we go again, man. Here comes another week. I was a mail carrier, so I would deliver mail. And down here in South Texas, it gets pretty hot. And it wasn't the heat, man. I can handle the heat. I just didn't like what I was doing, man. And so it was very hard for me to really wake up, tap dancing out of bed, like Charlie Munger says, or I think it was Warren Buffett that said that. It was very hard for me to get up, tap dancing out of bed, man. And so I was only enjoying 2 days out of a 7-day week. And for me, it just wasn't healthy, and I wasn't happy. And the people around me kind of, you know, they absorbed that energy of me not being happy, man. And so it was a rough time for me, because everybody was telling me, hey man, I really like your job. I wish I had your job. You've got it made. You're working for the government. It's a solid job. It ain't gonna go anywhere. We're always gonna have mail, blah, blah, blah. Even in 2000, when, you know, the internet came strong and people were talking about, you know, people are paying their bills online, and it happened, right? But then the packages came in. And so even when people were talking about, oh, the mail is gonna end, and you know, people aren't gonna have mail delivered to their houses anymore, people were still talking about how solid of a job it was, and how the government would probably find something for us, and just you know, so I never felt like I was in danger of losing my job, never. But at the same time, I just didn't like it, man. I didn't like going to work. I didn't. And it was not only affecting me, but it was affecting the livelihood of people around me. My wife, my children. They were young, right? Because we had just started a family, but it was just affecting my outlook on life. And I always felt like there had to be something better. But the problem was that, again, people were talking to me and telling me, no, man, you're crazy. You have a good job. Don't leave it. Or all my life growing up, people would tell me, look, just get a good job, buy a little house, buy a little plot of land somewhere, and, you know, just put your money in that little plot of land. If you ever need it, sell it, and now you've got money. And, you know, just the little cookie cutter type of life. And it just wasn't for me. Now I get it. A lot of people live that way and they're happy, and that's great, man. If you live that way and you love it, that's great. I had a problem with liking it. I couldn't wait for Friday. I couldn't wait for Saturdays. I couldn't wait for Sunday half a day, because by noontime, I was already thinking about tomorrow and about Monday and going back to work and going back to the grind, doing things that I didn't like. And so it was hard for me, man. And it was important for me to go out there and find something that I really loved. And it's funny because I didn't like school either. I hated school. I felt like it just didn't make any sense for me. Now, I was an A and B honor roll student all the way up to high school. And then I just started just doing my own thing, and I didn't care anymore. And so it took me 4.5 years to finish high school, not because I was dumb, only because, you know, I wasn't going to class, and I was just hanging out with, you know, my friends, and we were doing crazy stuff. We were going to the beach and doing this and that, and I wasn't going to class. And I remember taking Spanish, and I was like, why do I need Spanish? This is dumb. Spanish is a hard language, man. That's because we live here in South Texas. Like, I know Spanish. Yo sé hablar español, pero hablar español correcto es diferente, es difícil. And so, and I probably butchered that too, man. But I remember all that. And so I was just thinking, you know what? Like, this isn't for me, man. School isn't for me. And so in between school, one thing I did like about school, there was one thing that I loved doing, and that was taking auto body and taking auto mechanics. I love that stuff. So a lot of the time I was spending at the auto body shop, skipping my classes, and at the auto mechanics, because I really love doing that. I love the hands-on. And so when I graduated, I had a job at an auto body shop for about a year and a half, and I wasn't great at it, but I really enjoyed doing it. And I remember having that taste of doing something that I really like to do. And I remember thinking, man, this is good, man. I like it. I like going and painting cars and working on cars and working with Bondo. And I really enjoyed it. And then the post office came along, took the test, I passed it, and it was great. But I suddenly stopped enjoying what I was doing. I just didn't like it. I didn't care for it at all, man. And so that really, for 20 years, I stayed at the post office because it's better than painting cars as far as money goes. And I had benefits and, just all that, a retirement and all that. So I did that, but I did it for other people. And I did it to please other people, but it wasn't pleasing me. And so Bravo Concealment came along. And through all that time, through all those 20 years, I was still working on cars in my backyard. I had a 1973 Scout that was a right-hand drive. I turned it into a 4x. I was driving to West Texas, finding Dana 44 axles, just all that stuff. I dropped a 350 engine in it, a Chevy 350 engine, and it was awesome. I have some pictures, man. I'll show you guys one day. Love that Scout, man. Super Swampers, just all that. It had a 6-inch lift, reverse the springs on it, reverse spring, axle lift, whatever you call it. And so did all that by myself. I went and I bought a Lincoln welder. I love doing that stuff. So when Bravo came along, it was the same thing. It was building something. It was using tools and building something. And I just grabbed onto it, man. And I just grabbed onto it to dear life because the holsters that I was making, people liked them. They wanted to buy them. People wanted my holsters. And so I knew I had something. And so I just doubled down, tripled down, working at the post office and making gun holsters for about 4 years, somewhere around there, until I just couldn't do it anymore and I quit the post office. That was a hard decision because, again, I had everybody telling me, even my family was telling me, no, don't leave the post office. It's crazy. And I was like, but you don't understand what's going on with Bravo. Yeah, but this is secure. Most businesses fail within the first 3 years. And just all this negativity. And I had to step back from everyone. I remember I isolated myself. Other than my wife, she was the one that was telling me, you need to quit your job and you need to start doing this full time. But I remember stepping back and just going into my own desert, into my own island, and just really just taking in everything and just praying to God and asking him to give me direction, give me wisdom, give me knowledge. And he did. And he just put me on a path, and it's been 100 miles an hour and I haven't slowed down yet. And I just love it, man. But I did it because it was in me. There's that DNA structure that I had that it just didn't allow me to fit in that square peg when I was a round peg, right? And so those things were important to me, man. And it was important for me to be selfish enough to go out there and pursue my dreams because the people around me, I wasn't a happy-go-lucky guy to be around with, man, because I was only enjoying 2 days out of a 7-day week, man. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. And it was a good job. I'd get out early because the faster you did your route, the faster you got home and all that, and it was good. But I still didn't enjoy it, man. I just didn't enjoy it at all. And I've said this before. I could have been a nurse or a surgeon and I wouldn't have enjoyed it. So I always had this entrepreneur thing in me, just like to sell, to go out there and build and sell. I just always had it in me. I remember stopping at garage sales on my route, buying stuff, taking them home and selling them on eBay. I always had that in me. And so it just needed to get exposed, man. And I just needed to just burst, man. And I just need to spread my wings. And when Bravo came along, I held on to it with dear life, and I said, I'm not letting go. And I used all the naysayers and everything. It just fed me. Now, it didn't feed me in the way where I used it and now I put it in their faces. No, man, that's not the way I roll. That's not the way I run. But it did feed me. It fed the fire that was within me, not to prove to them, but to prove to myself that I can do it. I've never to this day stuck a holster in front of somebody's face, somebody that told me that I couldn't do it, and say, see what happens? Never, man. And I would never do that. But I've done it to myself, and I look at it and I say, this is what I can do, and this is what we can do. And so when I talk about love your Mondays and how I don't like Fridays, I'm not following this I know there's a lot of people out there that talk that way and all that. I'm telling you, it's genuine, man, because I did it for 20 years, man. Forget 20 years. The 12 years in school, I did it for 32 years, man, because I didn't like school. I didn't like Mondays, and I couldn't wait for Fridays. So for 32 years, just back and forth, I hated my weekdays. I didn't like them. I don't want to use hate. Hate is a strong word, but I didn't like them, man. And so, guys, don't ever let people tell you that you can't do something, or don't ever let people suppress you. Don't go through life that way, man. I started Bravo when I was 37. And so, I'm 25 and I don't know what I want to do. You're young, man. You're young. Or I'm 40 and I still don't know what I want to do. I think you do know what you want to do. You just don't want to put it out there, man, because you don't want to get flack from people around you. People that love you, man. People that actually care about you. I'm not talking about some guy that you don't know. These are people that love you and actually care about you. You don't want to hear that. So I get it. But at the same time, you got to be selfish. And you got to do things for yourself so that you can be happy. And when you're happy, then everybody else around you is happy. And everybody else around you is blessed. Now, you can't be 90% selfish because that doesn't work for anyone. But I truly believe in that 49-51, where you're selfish 49% and then you're giving of yourself the other 51%. I truly believe in that. I think, and I don't know if it's 49-51, but you got to be it could be 40-60. I don't measure it that way. But you obviously have to be giving of yourself more than you are selfish. But you got to be selfish, man. You got to go out there and pursue what it is that you like to do. And take it to that next level, double down, triple down, go out there, guys. When I was working both jobs, I was building holsters at 2 a.m, having to wake up at 5:30, 6 o'clock so I could go to work, man, drop off my kids at school because we just had a newborn. And so, guys, that's why when I hear people say like, well, yeah, man, but it's just, you don't understand. No, I do understand, man. I did it, man. I did it for 5 years, 4 or 5 years, doing both things at once. I did it, and I ate dirt for 20 years, man, working at the post office. Paid great, man. A blessing, man. My wife didn't work. She was a stay-at-home mom raising our kids, and we had a limited income, but we never, we always had enough. Always. We never lacked, man. I thank God for that. Always been tithers, always been givers, and so I've always had because of that. And because of my trust, in God. But guys, if you find that opportunities don't come often, great opportunities, almost never. So if you see one, take advantage of it, man. Now, again, if that's in you, if you feel like something has to change, do it. I'm telling you guys. Now, if you're fine with it and you're okay, if you're a door greeter at Walmart and you love it, then do it, man. This isn't about money. This is not about money. If you're pursuing money, then you've lost already. This isn't about that. This is about doing what you love. They've done tests where people getting paid $100,000 a year and doing something they don't care for, or people getting paid $60,000, $50,000 a year, but loving what they do, people will choose the $50,000. People would rather be happy than make more money. It's a fact. There's actual studies about that. Now, you can chase the money, but I guarantee it's going to get old quick, man. Quick. Have you ever bought a car and in a year and a half, you're thinking, why did I buy this car, man? Same thing with money. Dude, I'm telling you, man, it's not about that. Now, if you do something and you're passionate about it and you dive in and you work hard and you work harder than other people, then the money's going to follow, man. I'm telling you, it is. If you do things right. But that's what it takes. There's no secret. Well, what if I start this business or that is going to take off? It takes time, man. I've been running Bravo for 9 years. And I feel like right now, like we're barely like really starting to take off and really doing great things. It takes time. There's no magic pill. There's no magical formula that you can, conjure up and put together and it's going to take you to the next level in 2 days or in 2 years. It takes time. Now you may say, well, what about Instagram, man? They were doing it for 400 days or a year, a little over a year, and they sold it for $1 billion. Yeah, I get that. But that guy, I can't remember his name. But the founder of Instagram, the CEO that sold it to Facebook, that guy was in the game for 10 years, man. He was doing stuff. I think he graduated from Harvard or something. He was networking. Guys, it takes time, man. It takes time. So if you're in it for the money, then you've already lost, man. But if you're in it for your happiness and for your own well-being and not to regret, then guys, I'm telling you, man, you guys need to go out there and just follow and pursue your dreams, your passion, the things that you find interest in. With this thing, you can make money talking about Star Wars, man, if you're really good at it. I mean, I'm telling you guys, you just need to work hard. You need to grind it out. It is what it is.